Coal's not only a matter of finding, but of getting away, and speed of handling's important to the national economy. Coal still accounts for 57% of all New Zealand's heat and power, and bad weather in the Buller open-cast workings can mean cold homes elsewhere. An empty truck's in position as a full one moves off, for coal's just a waste mineral unless you can shift it. Until recently, it's been only by truckload and tubload that coal has gone down to the coast. Something that could handle coal in greater bulk has been needed for a long time. A mile and a half from Stockton, that something better is now to be found. Here, the 3,500 weight buckets of a new aerial ropeway take over, an endless airlift which can carry 250 tons of coal every hour. Designed to carry direct from the Buller coalfield to the coast, the ropeway eliminates cross-country hold-ups. 4/5 finished, it already carries the entire output of the open-cast workings. Soon it will carry the coal from 3 underground mines as well. Loop stations take the strain wherever transfer to a new section of cable is made. The whole project is a fine example of cooperation between British technical designers and the constructional engineers of the New Zealand Ministry of Works. In every 8-hour shift, it can carry 3 times as much coal as the old haulage system. With 112 steel pylons to erect between the coalfield and the sea, it has taken 4 years to complete this part of the project. And no wonder, with features such as Mine Creek Gully to cross. 350 feet deep and 1,700 feet wide, this was a formidable obstacle. So, buckets from Stockton loading station near the end of a ride which has brought them from 2,600 feet nearly to sea level. Later, coal from 2 more loading stations will glide down the same route. In the terminal station, they're discharged into railway wagons, ready for onward transport to Westport, and thence to the homes and factories of both islands. 6 miles across the wild Buller country in just over 60 minutes, and 6 miles back with the empties.
Thousands of young rainbow trout just wriggle the time away at an Acclimatization Society's hatchery, waiting till they're big enough to go out into the rivers that make New Zealand an angler's paradise. In a stream running through the game farm, some of the bigger fish go through an elementary stage of their education. Small children have fun feeding the trout, who rise to the occasion in fine style. Baby pheasants also are reared by a foster mother. Later, they will be liberated in the district to make their own hard way through a sporting life. For visitors, kiwis make the farm's main attraction. Found exclusively in New Zealand, the kiwi normally lives in the bush and forages only at night. These birds, strays from their natural surroundings, find a good home at the farm and submit with pleasure to feeding and fondling. The long curved beak probes the soil in search of succulent worms. Did someone say something tactless, or has he just had enough to eat? Darting in and out of a shady patch of clover, this kiwi makes short work of grubs and insects. Even if the kiwi can't fly and is earthbound, she certainly isn't egg-bound. For her size, she lays the most astonishing egg in the world. But with typical Kiwi modesty, she thinks nothing of her achievement.
Only a day trip from Christchurch is the Franz Josef Glacier, which in its own quiet way is one of the wonders of the world. Crevasse fans and icefall enthusiasts are not the only bus passengers who pay it a visit. Amongst this holiday party, for example, there's a young botanist. For him, the pattern of vegetation is the important thing, and fuchsias and tree ferns belonging to subtropical orders go into his pressing book from this unusual glacial region. Eight miles long, the great ice torrent tumbles with imperceptible slowness from the maiden divide of the Southern Alps to less than 700 feet above sea level. No other glacier outside the Arctic Circle, we're told, arrives unmelted at so low an altitude. When Sir Julius von Haast first explored it in 1868, his reports excited widespread interest in the world of science. It's a great lot of ice, all right, but to the tourist industry, it's no frozen asset. Here at low altitude, the visitor can be given an easy and intimate glimpse of phenomena belonging to the heights. Without getting cold or breathless, he or she can see a mountaineer cutting ice steps and walk up the newly made frozen staircase. Skillful leadership from these guides makes climbing safe. Before turning home, the party is well up the glacier, but still far below the snow line of the Alps.
At Wairake, this 8-inch geothermal bore, 2,000 feet deep, is being prepared for another blow. A new steam valve has been obtained from England and is to be fitted above the original valve, which proved inadequate for the task of shutting off the high-pressure gusher. On top of the new valve, an extension pipe is fitted, which will eventually deflect the gusher horizontally through a silencer, necessary to cut down the ear-splitting roar caused by the compressed steam hitting the outer air. To withstand the terrific pressure, all equipment must be securely held down. Gauges are set up to register the steam pressure. And now everything's ready for the big moment. The old valve has been opened. At a safe distance, the main valve is now swung into operation. Men from the Ministry of Works and the DSIR gather information from their various instruments. 400 pounds to the square inch is shown near the mouth of the bore, whilst nearby bores show no loss of pressure. Up into the air roars unharnessed steam. Later, the bores will give power for industry.
From Christchurch, there's now a new air service. It leaves twice a week in the destination's Milford Sound. Heading south, the plane follows the Southern Alps, and to starboard, passengers have a moving panorama of high peaks and mist-filled valleys. Alone and aloof stands Mount Cook. After 3.5 hours of sightseeing, the plane's over Milford Hotel and coming into land. Until this year, the hotel had been closed during the winter. The avalanche risk at the Homer Tunnel means that the road cannot be used. Now, with air services from both Christchurch and Queenstown, guests can fly in and sample Milford sights in winter. The Bowen Falls, one of Milford's spectacles, are always impressive. From the hotel to the open sea is 11 miles. 11 miles by launch between the towering cliffs of the Sound. Milford scenery is probably the grandest in New Zealand, and for the first time, visitors can admire it all the year round.
A door opens and the dream of many years comes true. The new building of the Otago University School of Home Science is now open for business. Probably few visitors realize what tremendous progress has marked the first 50 years of this school's existence. With Dr. Gregory, Dean of the school, Miss Anne Stevenson, a foundation student, looks into the modern kitchen. She remembers well the difficulties which that first class had to face and how poorly equipped she and her pioneer friends were. Laundry was done by hand, outside. And why leave home to learn home science, everybody asked. It meant, and still means, more than just learning to cook. From the graduates, learned in the sciences of food and nutrition, have come nearly all the dietitians for our hospitals. It takes 3 years of full-time study to get a diploma of home science and 4 years study to get a degree. This qualifies the graduate for industrial and teaching positions. The course combines the sciences with the arts, and ability and skill in handcrafts is encouraged. As instructors in this varied field, the graduates are in great demand. Sewing is a basic part of the clothing and textile course. An expert knowledge of fabrics and their wearing and washing qualities is also essential. To be able to distinguish between good and bad design is fundamental if you're going to advise on home planning and furnishing. A do-it-yourself exercise in printing fabrics with the silk screen is a good test of your ability as an artist and designer. Pleasing and modern is the new residential building, Studham Hall, which is opened by the Governor-General. The name commemorates Colonel John Studham, who made the original bequest for the founding of the School of Home Science 50 years ago. The kitchens of Studham Hall are run by the students themselves, who get the best of practical experience in institutional cooking and management. If your cooking's not up to standard, there are plenty of other cooks to put you right. These new buildings and the high standards achieved enable the school to look proudly back on 50 years of steady progress in this, their Jubilee year. The luckiest person in Rotorua, Guide Rangi, welcoming the 5 Miss New Zealand finalists at Wakarewarewa. It's introductions all round with Miss Canterbury, Miss Auckland, now crowned Miss New Zealand, Miss Southland, Miss Wellington, the runner-up, and Miss Otago. 5 lucky girls who are having the time of their lives on a round New Zealand tour. Not quite the thing for a modern kitchen, but all very interesting. And the food's not the only thing interested in taking a hot plunge. At Wairaki Hotel, the girls waste no time in trying out the thermal water for themselves. That 10-pound hairstyle is going to need some adjustment. The water's fine, but on second thoughts, maybe it's time to get out. All good things must come to an end. So let's stretch out in the sunshine and leave the water to the fish. Dinner is on at the Paradise Valley Trout Pools. Watch the way the fish keep popping to the surface. Well, wouldn't you if you had 5 of the prettiest girls in New Zealand to serve the fish course? Encouraged by success with tame trout, the girls see if they can lure some of the wild ones at Lake Taupo. They try their hand at trawling. This sort of angling takes patience. No chance of him getting hooked. Anyhow, they're all steamed up at Wairaki Power Project, where the girls have dropped in to say hello. That's if you can hear them. Mr. Joe Brown, the touring manager, seems to have come to life again, and like the other men on the project, seems to be taking an interest in things. Go. Maybe we'll settle with just looking. This man seems to be having some trouble keeping his feet on the ground. What some people will do to impress others. Bye now.
About the middle of the North Island of New Zealand is situated the Tongariro National Park, surrounding Mounts Ruapehu, Tongariro and Narahoi. The old Maoris say that in the long ago, this district was inhabited by fairies and goblins, and great respect was paid to the gods of the mountains, of whom Tongariro was the paramount chief. The flanks of Mount Ruapehu are draped with thick beech forest, and the whole area of this national park occupies 150,000 acres. It is there for the people to enjoy the thrills of sport, the adventure of exploration, or the quiet restfulness of the mountain atmosphere. It was in late spring that we first visited the Chateau Tongariro and thrilled at our first sight of this luxurious tourist hotel, standing 3,700 feet above the level of the sea. We were fresh from the strain and noise of city life and welcomed the courteous hospitality of the hotel staff. A party of overseas bowlers were competing with a local rink, and we were already planning a game of golf on those well-kept fairways and greens on the rolling slopes adjacent to the chateau. Yes, we learned that here one can golf all the year round. Tennis also finds many devotees, and of course rackets can be hired, as also golf clubs. We found the many walking tracks fascinating and delightful, penetrating the native bush and leading us to streams and rapids that lace the mountain forest with silver. We found many a fragrant place of shadows, accompanied by the soothing, distant swirl of mountain streams. On another day, we motored only 2 miles from the chateau, and then scrambled down the gentle slopes beside the Whakapapanui stream to discover for ourselves the beauty that is Tawhai Falls. After our hamper luncheon, our exploring took us through waving gold of tussock and wild veronica to the Matariki Falls, placed in a deep and beautiful gorge 300 feet high in parts, clad with evergreen trees and shrubs. A little further down the road, we came across the Mahuia Rapids, tossing and foaming their way from the snow slopes of the mountains to the famous Wanganui River. In the leafy wilderness of these mountain walks, you hear the tinkling, dancing waters of a stream. You pause to look and find your view restricted by a lace-like curtain of wild clematis. Who wants to see a waterfall when there's this sweet-scented fall of flowers tumbling down from the treetops? The bracing atmosphere of that high altitude gave us all an appetite worthy of the excellent dinner that awaited us in the comfortable chateau. A cup of tea or perhaps something stronger, and then up to our rooms for a hot bath. The cinema that evening was showing the film It's a Great Feeling. we certainly agreed with the title. After dinner and the movies, we danced. The young people found it very romantic. Snow-capped Ruapehu, 9,000 feet high to one side. Narahoe, a harmless but still active volcano, on the other side. And above them all, the moon. One of the features that makes this place so attractive to the holidaymaker is that many of its scenic attractions are accessible without undue effort. Some of the older members of the party were glad that we could make bus and river trips, while the younger folk enjoyed the hiking and climbing. Our day out on the Wanganui River proved a thrilling experience. This river springs from a glacier on the flanks of Mount Ruapehu, which towers above the chateau. Remember the Mahuia Rapids and the Matariki Falls we visited near the chateau? Their impatient waters have helped swell the Wanganui River in its swift flow out to the west coast through a spectacular series of deep valleys and gorges. The voyage on the river is made in shallow draft river steamers, especially designed for climbing the turbulent rapids of the upper reaches. A friendly smile from some local Maoris, and then we enjoyed the grand thrill of shooting the rapids on the way back. That vapor-wreathed scar on Mount Tongariro is the valley of boil and bubble known as Ketatahi Springs, an intensely active group of boiling springs, mud cauldrons, and countless steam vents, 4,800 feet above sea level. When the steam clouds are blown aside, one catches glimpses of varicolored clay and sulfur cliffs. The hot waters flowing from the tormented valley are strongly mineralized. They form a stream which flows swiftly down to Lake Rotoaira. This stream is called by some Maoris the Creek of the Demon, and by others the Enchanted Stream. Many Maoris insist that this area is peopled by weird supernatural creatures. We came to National Park for a few days and stayed for a few weeks, and then came back again in late summer. We motored from the chateau to the Tongariro River, the world-famous trout fishing stream. And then, when the native kauai blooms began to curl and fall, and the scent of summer roses gave way to the smell of burning bush logs, we simply had to visit the chateau again in the winter. Practically all your sports equipment can be hired. Mountaineering boots and waterproof coats, and skis too can be obtained from the equipment room, where experienced guides are always ready to help you. You can actually motor to about 5,500 feet, and the ski tows take skiers to the head of their runs. This means less hard climbing and more downhill running. Sportsmen have been quick to realize how these tows can add hours to their skiing day. A straight, breathtaking run, a rise, and then another. The steel bites into the surface. A new slope swings up ahead. The only sound in the white stillness is the hiss of the tips streaking into the snow. You don't need to be a skier to thrill to the glory of these magnificent snowscapes. A drive in the bus right onto the snowfield rewarded us with hours of fun and sport, just watching. blue shadows and white snow rise up into the clear air and culminate in the majesty of the mountain peaks, crowned by centuries of snow and ice. Some of the party climbed to the summit to view this lake of green, warm water, right in the snow-kissed crater of Ruapehu. There's no doubt about it, New Zealand's Tongariro National Park is a great place to visit at any time of the year. For a day or two or a week or two, it's an all-seasons resort for rest and relaxation or exhilarating play. The Chateau Tongariro is National Park's holiday headquarters.